4, 5, 6, 7. Are you seeing audio? 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3. Do you see it, Peg? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, you're not going to hear it on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're checking the audio on the stream. 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are you seeing some kind of metering of audio? Not you guys. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
ride this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds, and we're starting to see that we're onto something. Feel it coming, we'll keep running, nothing in our way, and we got no reason to wait. Let the journey take you where it wants to. We'll continue to find our way through anything we face. We got what it takes. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins. Every step, writing stories that seek to be read, taking hold of the moment as we discover every color filled with wonder. Now we finally see we got everything we need. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins. Here we go. Here we go. Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds. We're starting to see that we're onto something. Feel it coming now. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins.
Good evening, PMC. How y'all doing? I'm Billy Starr. Welcome and welcome back to the 44th PMC. Like swallows returning to Capistrano, there's comfort and strength to know that with all the worldly disruptions, I can count on seeing so many familiar faces, even if I only see you one weekend a year. Last year, we were back in the saddle, an almost full-service PMC with 5,200 riders. This year, we've registered 6,500 riders and 3,100 volunteers with 5,800 back live for the full weekend. 600 more than a year ago. Buttressing those numbers, I'm pleased to share that we have just received a very rare $1 million gift from second-year rider Rob Hale. Additionally, we have 89% of all 2022 heavy hitters returning. All heavy hitters who raised $10,000 or more and I expect there to be well over 2,000 of you, will receive a pair of UA slides. Best value you ever had. All this and more gives me the confidence to state that we will make or exceed our record-breaking $70 million goal. In addition to this fundraising milestone, for the 17th consecutive year, we will pass through 100% of all rider-raised dollars to Dana-Farber. When we convene in November, we will give a check that takes our 44-year lifetime tally to $970 million or more. One of the critical components of the PMC's 100% model is our corporate sponsors. Without their support, the model doesn't hold. They not only help underwrite the PMC, but they also ride and volunteer. Special acknowledgement to our co-presenting sponsors, the Red Sox Foundation and M&T Bank. I welcome back our hub site sponsors, New Balance, Takeda, and FFS Investment Management. And new to the PMC this year, hey dude, Mintz, Cogent Biosciences, Gelanu, L13, and Subaru of New England. Now let me take you back 34 years to 1989. The first year I knew that the PMC would raise more than $1 million in a single year. I dubbed that year's campaign, I'm One in a Million, to both acknowledge the individual participation in the fundraising milestone. There was one other historical first that year, for those of you who were there. While we had experienced rain before, it had always come later in the day. 1989 was the first time we ever had a monsoon forecasted at 5 a.m. And I was very concerned if the riders would indeed show up. Well, you all did. And that was a major tipping point, speaking to the commitment of PMC riders and volunteers. That commitment shines brightly to this day, and I thank you all for that. Next year will be the year that the PMC crosses the $1 billion threshold. And therefore, I have dubbed next year's campaign One in a Billion. That speaks to the event itself, your commitment, and all that has gone into reaching a goal that would have been inconceivable 45 years ago. You will all want to be there next August 3rd and 4th when this historic threshold is crossed. 45 years, think about it, folks, to raise $1 billion. And what? 10 to 15 years to raise the second billion and bring our fundraising mission not only closer by the mile, but closer to the day when cancer is completely eradicated. Now, I would like to bring to this stage PMC President and 15-year rider Jarrett Collins. Jarrett has been at my side for 4 years, and I have charged him first and foremost to do all that we can to continually improve the PMC weekend experience that is the catalyst to the PMC fundraising phenomenon. Jarrett, welcome.
Hey, Billy.
And tell the riders what we can expect the new or improved this year.
Thanks, Billy. As you know, we're committed to giving our riders the very best possible experience that we can each year. So each year after PMC weekend, we review the rider and volunteer surveys. As a staff, we meet to discuss our own observations, and we start planning for what we want to do better or differently the following year. For 2023, we focused on enhancing 3 key aspects of what we believe are of utmost importance to the riders: safety, connection, and support. Safety is a top priority for all our riders and their families. As we have in the past, we've collaborated closely with 47 Massachusetts towns, public health experts, and even MEMA to plan and execute the safest road experience that we can. Now, if a rider needs assistance, our command center, staffed with experienced volunteers, equipped with the latest incident tracking technology, will provide rapid response, and they'll support the rider with a fleet of road crew vehicles, over 30. We also have an emergency communication system. Many of you were notified by that earlier today with a test message, and that can send and text real-time safety information to all riders and volunteers. Let's talk about connection. Connection is an integral part of the magic that surrounds PMC weekend. No one rides the PMC alone. Your friends and family provide essential support. So we want to keep them feeling connected during the weekend too. Therefore, we're thrilled to announce that for the first time since 2019, we've welcomed back guests to partake in the PMC experience in Sturbridge, Wellesley, right? That's worth it. And that monument finish, and the MMA finish line. Now, you can also keep your loved ones connected over the weekend and informed about where you are with our user-friendly RFID tracking system. They'll be able to follow your progress on the RTRT app through every start, every water stop, and finish along the way. Finally, more than 3,000 enthusiastic volunteers are providing support for our riders this PMC weekend. Let's hear it for the volunteers. They'll ensure you have the most enjoyable weekend possible. Throughout the weekend, they'll be refueling you with more delicious food and beverage options and in greater quantities than at any past PMC. All right? Speaking of support, Billy, did I mention that we're bringing back massage? Right? It's true. It's true. For those riding both Saturday and Sunday, a team of almost 100 massage therapists have volunteered at MMA to assist you in recovering and continuing on to Provincetown. So these are just some of the steps that we've taken this year to enhance that safety, connection, and support. And we hope it'll make the PMC in 2023 an unforgettable one for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jarrett. The number of registered volunteers is approaching pre-pandemic proportions. Their commitment is essential for the PMC to be its best self. They deserve another round of applause. So, folks, do you know what an average PMCer looks like? Well, your average PMC rider is 48 years old and is an 8-year alumnus. I mention these two numbers because we have over 6,300 PMC alumni that fit that description. Therefore, I want to ask anybody in this audience who fits this description, whether at least 48 years old or an 8+ year rider, please stand up and be recognized because you are not average, you are extraordinary. Give yourself a hand. For those of you who don't yet meet those averages, I ask you to ponder the reasons behind this loyalty. To make a point, what school, hospital, or charity has channeled your values, aspirations, and passions more than the PMC? As founder and 44-year rider, I'm asking everyone here to please consider making the PMC a part of your personal legacy by joining the PMC Legacy Society and further ensuring that our annual gift grows and our pass-through to Dana-Farber remains at 100%. Study after study conducted about you reveals that the 100% pass-through to Dana-Farber is our most valued asset to you, our fundraisers. Please take the initiative this fall to include the PMC in your personal legacy by contacting the PMC office to easily facilitate your intentions.
Billy, I'm proud to be a member of the Legacy Society myself. I encourage every PMC rider to do the same. Tonight, we gather here at opening ceremonies with a deep sense of commitment. Many of us have personally experienced the pain of cancer's impact in our lives. We've also found hope in the care that Dana-Farber provides during those trying times. In this spirit, I'm honored to introduce a remarkable individual, Melanie Duval, who, for the past 5 years, has been an integral part of the PMC community. Notably, Melanie serves as Dana-Farber's Chief Philanthropy Officer, but her dedication extends beyond her professional role. Like 160 other Dana-Farber employees, either volunteering or riding on PMC weekend, Melanie will be right alongside us, and her involvement with the PMC and Dana-Farber allows her to witness firsthand the incredible impact that your fundraising efforts have on those bravely fighting cancer. I have no doubt that she will share some inspiring stories and insights with us tonight. Please join me in giving a warm and enthusiastic welcome to Melanie Duval.
Thank you, Jarrett. Good evening. I'm Melanie Duval, Senior Vice President and Chief Philanthropy Officer at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. I am also a PMC board member, and most importantly, I am a proud PMC rider. So whether you've been participating since the 1980s, in your t-shirts, in your shorts, or if, like me, you're a relative newbie, we are all part of the same PMC family. When I showed up for my very first ride after moving to Boston in 2019, I arrived carrying a bicycle with a kickstand and a moving sticker, and a whole lot of nerves. Like many of you, I was not a cyclist. I am a daughter, I am a wife, I'm an aunt, I am a friend, I am a fundraiser, and I am determined to end cancer. And just like Billy has promised so many of us and so many of you in this room, I committed and I figured it out. Now, yes, Billy, we commit and we figure it out. Now, several years later, though my kickstand is still attached, I'll admit, my initial jitters have been replaced with endless gratitude for the ability to ride, for the community pedaling alongside me, for the patients who line the streets with signs that say, "I am alive because of you." Gratitude for the funds you have raised so that Dana-Farber investigators could fuel the development of more than half of all cancer drugs approved by the FDA over the past 5 years. Gratitude that the number of cancer survivors in the United States has grown from 5 million in 1980 when the PMC began to more than 18 million today, all with your help. The power of the PMC to propel such incredible progress began 44 years ago with the all-star we all know and love, And since then, hundreds of sponsors and millions of donors have hit the road together and raised more than $900 million for Dana-Farber. Today, the PMC is Dana-Farber's largest single donor and represents more than 60% of the Jimmy Fund's annual revenue. The $1 billion mark is on the horizon, and we are pedaling closer by the mile. Billy's visionary leadership has built the PMC from a $10,000 experiment to a $70 million annual powerhouse that generates critical funds, awareness, and hope. The past few years have brought their share of uncertainty and challenges, and together we have supported one another, and we've stayed the course. Small gestures have translated into huge impact. We've met for early morning training rides with our smiles masked during the early days of the pandemic. We've loaned a bike to the newest team recruits, and we have called a friend to see how their first chemo went. We've cycled through every kind of weather imaginable: driving rain, bitter cold, sweltering heat last year, and humidity. And as we've trained, those 10-mile training rides turned into 25 miles, into 50 miles, and eventually into 100-mile treks. But surely, slowly and surely, we did it. This weekend, the PMC riders will cumulatively cover an incredible 1 million miles. That is 1 million miles is the same as circling the globe more than 40 times. So each time we do so, every August, and as many rides as it takes, until we discover cures for all cancers, we'll celebrate everything we have overcome together and the legacies that we have built over 44 years for the PMC, 76 years for the Dana-Farber, and 75 this year for the Jimmy Fund. And we look proudly towards even greater opportunities ahead to defy cancer. So, ride safely, have fun, and know how much all of us at Dana-Farber appreciate your tremendous commitment. There is no greater group I would rather cycle with, kickstand or not, whether it's to the end of the land in P-Town or the ends of the earth. Thank you so much.
Melanie Duval. Tonight at 7 p.m., we will turn our attention to WBZ's special presentation of opening ceremonies called Everyday Heroes. While that expression is now ubiquitous, it was first coined in 1997 to describe PMC riders. The broadcast will be hosted by PMC alumnus Lisa Hughes and David Wade. Coming soon. So how does the PMC stack up in the fundraising universe? Let's take a look. The PMC was once again recognized as the #1 cycling fundraising event in the country, bigger than the next 7 combined. In comparison to all peer-to-peer nonprofit national organizations, the PMC rose to #3 overall. Many of these other organizations are comprised of hundreds of events around the country. And now a little bit about the PMC riders yourselves. This year, 80% are from Massachusetts, another 10% are from the rest of New England, and the final 10% from the rest of the country and the world. In all, riders hail from 44 states and 6 countries. I know you're all disappointed that I'm not going to do the roll call, but I lose my voice for all the years I've done it. You know where you're from. Although they are not riding PMC weekend, there are 800 reimagined and virtual riders who are committed to the $70 million goal. And this year, we have 350 active teams. Team captains have assumed an increasingly important PMC role. They're the knights in biking armor, carrying the PMC flag as a year-round reminder of the evolving event and its steadfast mission. If you are a team captain, please stand up. We appreciate all that you do. Our Pedal Partner program is presented by MFS Investment Management. This year's program consists of 65 teams riding for 79 pediatric cancer patients being treated at the Jimmy Fund. Pedal partners and their families meet and greet their supporting teams at the Lakeville Water Stop. It's an emotional component of Saturday's ride that spiritually lifts all who embrace it. And there are more than 70 years between our youngest and oldest riders. Our youngest is Zachary Nelson, 13 years old, a former pedal partner and now a living proof rider. And we have two 86-year-old riders. Bob first, I think it's at least 38 years of riding, who's riding Sunday, and Ike Van Arterloo, who's riding 2 days Wellesley to Provincetown. They're not here tonight, but really, let's give those extremes a hand, right? As Dana-Farber continues to defy cancer, our living proof community grows as more people live well with a cancer diagnosis. This year, we registered almost 1,000 living proof riders and volunteers. We will celebrate all of you during 3 living proof ceremonies throughout the weekend. If you are a member of the living proof community, please stand up and be recognized. Woo! I believe that the PMC weekend is the best of human nature on display. In a world that can't agree on much these days, it has occurred to me that the obvious sequel to the beloved TV show Ted Lasso is the PMC story. I mean, you all are Hollywood gold, well-intended, optimistic, and hopeful people who rise above it all and create something magical, good, and with long-term positive impact. And to quote Ted himself, if you care about someone and you got a little love in your heart, there ain't nothing you can't get through together. Thank you. For those in the room here in Sturbridge, please stay in your seats. For those watching elsewhere, please tune into TV 38 or head to WBZ.com as we all watch WBZ's special opening ceremonies presentations called everyday heroes. Thank you all very much. Stay tuned. Stay in your seats.
Coming together for one cause.
One goal.
The people, the atmosphere, the motivation that you get along the route, it just gets you there.
It's a mission getting closer by the mile.
I got more time with my father. That's why I ride.
With the Pan Mass Challenge.
We make a difference. What Billy Starr has created in the PMC and the drive that they have.
Through sweat.
I biked 162 miles after having a spinal fusion last year. With stage 4 cancer, I think that's pretty cool.
Tears and toughness.
It's really hard to imagine a better legacy than helping to save somebody's life.
A journey across the state, pedaling as a tribute to loved ones lost.
She had breast cancer when I was in 4th grade. Chemotherapy was a new thing, so they applied it, and they applied it with vigor, and it just destroyed her.
And to save lives.
I just love raising money for my sister in the hospital.
It is a ride like no other.
To find a cure for cancer.
This is the WBZ News PMC Everyday Heroes Special. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our WBZ News PMC Everyday Heroes Special. I'm 13-year rider Lisa Hughes.
And I'm 5-year rider David Wade. Thousands of riders are raising millions for cancer research.
Months of training and fundraising culminate in 2 days of beautiful riding with a passion for the cause. It is a journey that started in 1980 with just 36 riders in that first PMC. Founder Billy Starr channeled his grief into action after losing his mother, his uncle, and his cousin to cancer. And now, about 6,000 riders join him every year for an event that is changing and saving lives. Billy is in studio with us to help us kick off the 2023 Pan Mass Challenge.
Now, from that first ride in 1980, the PMC has raised a whopping $900 million, closing in now on that $1 billion mark. And when you donate, 100% of your donation goes directly to Dana-Farber for research and for treatment.
Now, again this year, we are working toward an astounding fundraising goal of $70 million, and that would be a new record.
More than 6,400 riders will hit the road, raising more money for charity than any other single athletic fundraising event in the entire country. The PMC raised $69 million for Dana-Farber last year. That money represents more than 60% of the annual revenue at the Jimmy Fund.
And PMC founder Billy Starr joins us now. Billy, the 44th year, the event closing in, as David said, on $1 billion. That is an astounding accomplishment.
It is, and you know, it does remind me when we were closing in on $1 million, 1989. And I knew, or I felt back then that if we did that, we were a real event. Yeah. We're a real event. We should be paid attention to. We were raising some significant funds. So here we are, 34 years later, closing in on $1 billion.
Amazing.
A real event and a really awesome event. There is still a way to go before that $1 billion mark, and that's where this year's fundraising goal of $70 million comes in.
You know, it is only $1 million over last year, but we empty the till every year. So when you're starting at zero, that's quite a jump. And look, we're tracking very well right now. We're up 10% year to date, probably here on Friday night, $50 million. That's a very good indicator of making or surpassing our goal.
Wow, and every single dollar in that $50 million and above goes directly to Dana-Farber, 100%. How important is that to Dana-Farber?
The money the PMC raises, which is largely unrestricted, allows Laurie Glimcher, the CEO, the discretion to fund the next great initiative. Every leader of any institution, college or hospital would love the flexible dollars to direct to the next great idea. That, but as well, PMC money every year funds over 700 initiatives at Dana-Farber. So Obviously, at this point, we're not only raising a lot of money, they can count on us. We like to say that there's a lot riding on us.
All right, so a lot of things in the world changed after the pandemic, and this race, no different, although we were basically fully back last year. What is back for this year?
So you're back. We're back on broadcast TV, and we thank you for that. We're thrilled. It is about still recovery. Look, the money is one thing. The PMC population, like the ridership and the volunteers, we took a hit during COVID, but each year we've been clawing back. And this year, since 2019, our last live ride, we're back with 6,500 registered, 5,800 live on the weekend, and 3,100 volunteers in support of those riders. So that's pretty great.
Excellent. Billy Starr, founder of this great event, thanks for being with us. I know we're going to talk with you a little bit more, and we should mention that they're going to have the massage back, and that's important too. So we're glad to have you, and we're glad to be doing this.
Thank you.
A lot of sore muscles. That'll be good.
So coming up, we know how much this event means to Dana-Farber. And now we're going to give you an idea just the difference it makes.
Yeah, riders can tackle the Pan Mass Challenge in a number of different ways. 16 fully supported routes now, the shortest, 25 miles. The longest, 211. I didn't misspeak. 211 miles. That is the traditional two-day ride from Sturbridge to Provincetown. Now, to get a terminal cancer diagnosis at the age of just 28 is devastating. But a Jamaica Plain woman lives with determination and with hope that with advances in treatment, she'll keep living a full and active life.
And she is doing her part to support life-saving research at Dana-Farber, training and fundraising for her very first Pan Mass Challenge.
I need to do it while I still can, and I want to be able to help raise as much money for a cause that's so important.
Dina Offengame doesn't take training rides or any movement for granted. In late 2021, she could hardly walk after enduring months of unrelenting back pain.
One of the days I just woke up and couldn't feel my legs and went to the ER.
By then, she'd also found a lump. What she thought was sciatica was stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, which means the disease had spread, a terminal diagnosis. Were you shocked? Were you angry? How did you?
Yes, all of it.
The cancer was also in Dina's bones, forcing a major surgery and spinal fusion.
The biggest feeling I had was just kind of sadness for a lot of people around me.
Sit and watch TV, I guess.
Including her fiancé, Josh. Dina's cancer is estrogen positive. Doctors explained immediately she'd have to shut off her ovaries.
At first it was like, oh, okay, so I temporarily can't have kids. And I don't think I'd ever kind of faced that.
A stark reality at 28.
The real possibility that I wasn't going to have kids, because I just kind of always thought I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids, and that's just live the life I always planned to live.
She and Josh did get married in a joyous celebration last summer. By then, Dina had started treatment at Dana-Farber, regaining strength and mobility. And today, she's thankful to feel so good.
Then all I wanted was to just walk my dog.
Simple pleasures she'd missed out on before and after surgery are now hers to enjoy again.
I think Dana-Farber's done a really great job of helping me take my mind off the disease.
It's also giving her reassurance. Dina's in a clinical trial and on oral chemotherapy. Over time, her doctor Sarah Tolaney's explained there will be other treatments.
You have 5 other options available to you if this one fails. So it was kind of that peace of mind of like, okay, wait, it's not 3 months, it's not 4 months. I have some time.
You know, it gives you hope.
Josh says he's grateful for Dina's wild positivity.
I didn't think anyone was going to be in our kitchen.
I told you.
And the care they're receiving at Dana-Farber.
When you find out that news, you don't feel very much hope. So no, just the care we've had, the people that we've had, and obviously the amount of kind of money that's raised and all the kind of goodwill that Dana do. Like I said, it just gives you kind of a feeling that, you know, things could get better and, you know, not just for Dina, but for everyone else.
The PMC is part of that.
Actually, was just out to change to go out for a bike ride.
Dina and 6 friends, including Michaela Aronson, who's with her on FaceTime, will ride the 2-day from Wellesley as Team Breast Friends.
It'll just be really meaningful to be able to do something like that together.
And maybe even a tradition.
Now we can do this for years to come, so it'll be cool to keep it up.
What does riding the PMC mean to you now?
It's so much. At the end of this, say that I biked 162 miles after having spinal fusion last year, and kind of with stage 4 cancer, I think that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, pretty incredible, and we wish Dina and all the breast friends a terrific ride.
Well, a group of Norwood firefighters are riding not only to fundraise for Dana-Farber, but to raise awareness about the leading cause of death among their ranks, and that is cancer. Research shows that firefighter turnout equipment has PFAS carcinogens in it. The belief is that those toxic chemicals have led to a spike in cancer cases for firefighters. Paul Ronco is leading a riding team from Norwood and hopes to also lead the charge to make firefighter equipment safer.
Here in Norwood, we're relatively busy. We do about 20 runs a day, so that is 20 times that we're putting that gear on. Are we hoping to make a change? Yes. And I think the change is maybe to bring some awareness to the issue that we have in the fire service and maybe change those standards in our gear.
And speaking of changers, there is a bill being discussed by Massachusetts lawmakers to reduce toxic chemicals in firefighter gear. If you want to contribute to the team's fundraiser cause, head over to pmc.org and search Team Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts.
We love him. He is a special boy who has inspired us for years. And Declan Vale, who is battling brain cancer, also inspired Red Sox players during a pregame Pan Mass Challenge ceremony on PMC night at Fenway Park. Now, Declan's mom rides the PMC because of the care he receives at Dana-Farber.
And as Mike Sullivan shows us, her team's fundraising goes directly to research that they hope will one day find a cure.
Sometimes life doesn't give you a choice. The only option is to jump right in. Your arms flail, heart races. You hope just to survive.
I just remember that spot on the carpet and him just stopping and holding his chest, and I didn't know why.
Stephanie Vale is an oncology nurse now. At the time, her son Declan was 3.
We found out after a while that he was having seizures, and he would just stop and stare at me, and then for about 2 hours afterwards, just be a lump in my arms.
Declan doesn't have just 1 or 2 seizures.
Oh, we've hit thousands.
Doctors first thought it was a GI issue until the seizures got worse.
Within 24 hours, we knew that he had a brain tumor, and one of the largest ones that they've seen in a 3-year-old.
It's a special type called FGFR1. It's not like what you would expect, correct? It's not like a lump.
He said, pretend like you have a piece of toast and the tumor's a piece of butter. And once you put that butter on the toast, it's melted in and you will never separate the two.
Surgeons were able to remove 30% of it.
But the part that they haven't gotten to, if they took that out, he would lose pretty much all of his functions.
Even now, it greatly hinders his behavior, communication, processing, and balance.
Things like this have really helped with his balance.
It's remarkable how far he has come, considering there is no medication to target his tumor.
We are extremely close to finding a medication that can work.
Stephanie has been involved with the Pan Mass Challenge for years. Recently, they started a team called Brainstorm. Every penny they raise goes to funding FGFR1 research at Dana-Farber's Bandeau Lab.
And there's an amazing oncologist there who's starting research projects on that mutation with pieces of Declan's brain that were removed.
Over the next 5 years, they hope to raise $100,000.
Everything that comes along with cancer is all-consuming. So to be able to try and fit in training is difficult.
Stephanie never was much of a rider.
Keeping up with fluids, hydration, nutrition, not throwing up.
Yet, she doesn't have to look far for motivation.
Everything that he's gone through in 4 years, I can get there in 4 hours.
All she has to do is take the dive.
3, 2, 1, go.
In Holliston, I'm Mike Sullivan, WBZ News.
Strong mom, strong child.
Great family.
Well, you're watching WBZ News PMC Everyday Heroes Special.
Here's a look at a piece up for sale in this year's PMC Art of the Ride fundraiser, painted by writer Judy Close. Stay with us.
M&T Bank is a proud sponsor of the PMC. I'm really excited to be the team captain for M&T. Part of my job is going around to the different communities within our bank and educating folks on what the PMC does, the mission of Dana-Farber and what makes it so special, and trying to keep everybody engaged throughout the year for the various events that PMC hosts. We care about people, and that's why we're riding. And this is our way of saying we care about you, we want to make a difference, your life matters, and we're here to support you.
M&T Bank is a proud sponsor of the PMC.
I'm someone that's been impacted by cancer multiple times in many different ways. And then, I go to work and this is what I live in every day. So when you're able to marry these two worlds and you come to this event and you see this community, you see your purpose come to life. Sometimes it's easy to forget what happens from the work that you're doing. And PMC allows us to see the end results and the people that are impacted by all of the work that we do when we show up every day.
Takeda proudly supports the PMC.
The PMC is a New England institution. And this year, finally, given that this is our 25th year of sponsorship, I just wanted to join in. The longevity of MFS is a testament to how we think about everything. Everything we do is for the long term. And sponsoring the PMC goes hand in hand with how MFS thinks about things. When you're doing something as important as raising funds for cancer research, you forget about everything else.
MFS proudly supports the PMC. MFS proudly supports the PMC.
As we mentioned at the top, the PMC has raised $900 million to date. So you may be asking, where does the money go? Well, here's a look at the impact of last year's fundraising. Of the $69 million in donations, the biggest chunk, more than $16 million, went to pediatric oncology. $8 million went to fund care and research in hematologic oncology, including leukemia. And more than $6 million PMC riders raised went to adult oncology. Now, no one sees the impact of that money more directly than doctors at Dana-Farber, including 9-year rider and Dana-Farber's chief medical officer, Dr. Craig Bunnell.
And I asked him, what is the one thing that you want riders to know about the importance of PMC fundraising?
That their efforts are really saving people's lives. There's really not anything that the Dana-Farber has accomplished that isn't in some way attributable to the PMC.
Are there discoveries that have taken place since the last ride that you can tie to PMC funding?
There's a new CAR T therapy for multiple myeloma for patients who have had relapse of their cancers after at least 4 lines of therapy, and that and the efficacy of that is a 98% response rate, which is just unheard of in the past in cancer. And there's a bispecific antibody that was developed and approved for uveal melanoma, which is a cancer of the eye. There is a radiotherapeutic that was approved for prostate cancer that actually binds to the cell, is internalized, and radiates the cancer cell, resulting in death of the cancer cell. More than 50% of the new drug approvals by the FDA in the last 5 years have had the Dana-Farber fingerprint all over it.
Why is it so important for you to ride the PMC?
It really is something that's incredibly motivating to do. You're surrounded by other people who are motivated by the same thing. You're surrounded by patients, and you see these little kids who are holding up signs that say, I'm 7 because of you, and it's the truth. And it's a tribute to every one of those riders, and it's a tribute actually to every one of the people who support those riders.
And you're riding again this year with your daughter.
I am. It's my 9th year. It's her 3rd year. When we first started this, she had just really learned to ride a bike, and now she pushes me to try and keep up with her. So.
Is it more special riding it with her?
Oh, absolutely.
Something to be proud of, though.
Yeah, absolutely. For her and me.
Dr. Bunnell says the PMC embodies Maya Angelou's quote about finding purpose.
She said, if you're going to live, leave a legacy. And it's really hard to imagine a better legacy than helping to save somebody's life. And that's what those writers and their supporters are all doing.
That's why we love to be a part of it. Yeah. A longtime PMCer went above and beyond this year, not just riding from Sturbridge to Provincetown, but going across the entire country.
Yeah, that's a big trip. As part of her Pan Mass Challenge fundraising, a Bolton woman rode 3,000 miles, an adventure that she's been dreaming about since she was young. Her bags packed, her bike tuned up, Cindy Fuse was ready for an incredible trip from San Diego to St. Augustine, Florida. But it didn't take long to run into trouble.
3 days into the trip, I was like, I don't feel terrific, and sure enough, I tested positive.
COVID hampered her first few days on the Southern Tier Trail, yet that was just the first of many challenges.
This ride pushed me physically, as you could imagine, but also mentally. Lots of hours alone on roads in the desert where there's nothing around.
Cindy has been riding for years. She started doing the Pan Mass Challenge nearly a decade ago, drawn in by a close friend who later died of cancer, and her own dad who died of prostate cancer, a father who crept into her mind often on those lonely desert roads.
Thoughts of like I said, you know, my dad and our relationship and some of the difficulties we've experienced, but how I've come around and there's so much healing that has occurred in that relationship, and I would talk about that in my journal.
Wickenburg, day 10. I was thinking about Dad all day yesterday, and again this morning in the cafe for breakfast, surrounded by people that Dad would feel very at home with, because he would see himself and feel seen.
Cindy says she felt abused by the elements and landscape of Texas.
Fort Hancock, day 28. Today, by far, was my toughest day yet. I did not enjoy the ride.
I hit a low point somewhere around the what they call the hill country of Texas. It took me almost 4 weeks to get through Texas.
She persevered and made it to Louisiana.
Maryville, day 52. I am ready for some crawfish and shrimp and Creole spices and Louisiana hot sauce and gumbo and cracklings and beignets and some Zydeco music.
From there, the ride, while still a huge challenge, did not seem quite so bad. Over the next 23 days, Cindy made her way into Mississippi, Alabama, and finally the sands of the Atlantic in Florida.
I got to roll the bike down to the sand and touch the front tire in the Atlantic Ocean, and I got to go swim. I just went swimming with all my clothes on. You know.
Cindy now turns her attention back to fundraising for the PMC, something she calls incredibly important, as the research and treatments provided by Dana-Farber gives those battling cancer hope and time.
And I was the beneficiary of that. I got more time with my father. That's why I ride.
Looking back, Cindy says her cross-country trip provided clarity and healing, and a message she especially wants women to hear.
Message around not being afraid, not letting fear keep you from living your life and doing those things that are important to you, and chasing that dream. If you have that dream, do it. Just don't let fear keep you from doing it.
An amazing feat. You are watching the WBZ News PMC Everyday Hero Special.
We'll be right back with more.
Takeda proudly supports the PMC.
I'm really excited to be the team captain for M&T. Part of my job is going around to the different communities within our bank and educating folks on what the PMC does, the mission of Dana-Farber and what makes it so special, and trying to keep everybody engaged throughout the year for the various events that PMC hosts. We care about people, and that's why we're riding. And this is our way of saying we care about you, we want to make a difference, your life matters, and we're here to support you.
M&T Bank is a proud sponsor of the PMC.
I'm someone that's been impacted by cancer multiple times in many different ways. And then, I go to work and this is what I live in every day. So when you're able to marry these two worlds and you come to this event and you see this community, you see your purpose come to life. Sometimes it's easy to forget what happens from the work that you're doing. And PMC allows us to see the end results and the people that are impacted by all of the work that we do when we show up every day.
Takeda proudly supports the PMC.
The PMC is a New England institution. And this year, finally, given that this is our 25th year of sponsorship, I just wanted to join in. The longevity of MFS is a testament to how we think about everything. Everything we do is for the long term, and sponsoring the PMC goes hand in hand with how MFS thinks about things. When you're doing something as important as raising funds for cancer research, you forget about everything else.
MFS proudly supports the PMC.
Well, from her first PMC Kids ride, Ivy Dowdle of Charlton knew that someday she'd ride the real thing.
And someday is now. Ivy, who's 18, has been training on her Peloton and riding her mom's old road bike. Long miles are new, but not her commitment to the PMC. Now, you may remember this. We profiled Ivy, her sister Clara, and their friends Jenna and Sarah in 2017 as the playfully named Bike Riding Daughters of Anarchy, a fundraising force for a decade. And she hopes one day they'll all do the big ride.
The common saying is always keep one foot in childhood. And I think that the PMC, might be a way for us to grow and help others while continue having fun, raising money for such a cause that's like dear to our hearts. You feel like you're part of something so much bigger than yourself when you're doing that.
The teenagers are selling new Daughters of Anarchy merch to support Ivy's fundraising. She's doing the 111-mile one-day route from Sturbridge to Bourne.
All right, let's bring back Billy Starr now. Billy, what do you want to say to all the riders out there?
Well, first of all, in the PMC world, we're fond of saying if you deliver the weather, nothing else matters. But that's not really true. What I want to say is don't take your foot off the fundraising pedals. We haven't achieved our goal yet. We are on line to crush it, and I think we will. And to all the watching audience, the donors, the volunteers, everyone on the road, thank you. It's a special weekend, and give generously and have a great PMC.
And thank you for all you do, Billy.
Thanks, Billy. And thanks for watching the WBZ News PMC Everyday Hero Special. And riders, good luck to all of you.
And remember, you can still donate to the PMC by going to pmc.org.
We leave you with a video that reinforces the PMC's role in fighting cancer.
So we first got started with the Pan Mass Challenge because of my sister-in-law, Ali Fracassa. She was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2016. Ali was the type of human being who always gave to others. She would ride not for herself, but also her father, who was also a patient through Dana-Farber, who passed away about a year ago. We will continue to ride, making sure others have more time.
My wife, Mandy, died in February after a nearly 4-year struggle with cancer. You know, the top Google result for Mandy's condition that developed when her breast cancer spread to her central nervous system says 3 to 6 months. And she had 30 months by the time she finally passed.
We started Team Christine in honor for my sister. Unfortunately, it turned into in memory of my sister, but she just knew how to enjoy life. She would always force us to take what seemed like an obscene amount of photos. We have to take a picture in front of this tree. You know, oh, we're here, we need to take a group photo. Knowing now what I'm experiencing, those pictures are worth everything to me.
This is my 35th year volunteering. Being the coordinator of the Lakeville Water Stop means everything to me because I've lost so many people in my family. Both parents, my brother Peter, he had leukemia, and then having my sister Patty and I both be breast cancer survivors. It means everything. More time to the pedal partners and their families means everything. I mean, I've watched so many little children that are coming back now as teens. And every year when I get the posters, the first thing I do is go through them. I want to make sure they're all there. And I've seen so many of them grow up into the most wonderful, amazing, teenagers now.
With Mandy's situation over time, we learned that most of the things that extended her life and added meaningful quality of life were developments that have happened just in the past few years. You can work back from these new drugs or treatments back to very tangible fundraising efforts.
I think because of the efforts of the PMC, it goes along with more time. I've witnessed it when Allie was sick. She wasn't quite sure if she would make it past a couple of years. And because of different trials and research, she had 5 years.
When I think about more time, I think about how valuable it really is. Life was in 2-month increments because that's when the next MRIs were. To be able to schedule another MRI 2 more months again doesn't seem like much, but it meant everything to us.
We kind of take for granted time, all of us. You don't really question tomorrow. You know it's just going to be there. It's been difficult to accept that there's no more time with Christine. More time with Christine would mean more memories. I would give anything for that.
The amount of research keeps growing and the opportunities that people have compared to even 7 years ago when I started, it's amazing.
The Pan Mass Challenge means to me my favorite time of the year. It's like the perfect world we all wish we could live in every day.
If I had one more day with Allie, my sister-in-law, it definitely would be plopping ourselves on the beach, surrounded by our kids.
Such a vast effort, and we don't have to do it all at once, but maybe this ride can, help put together those building blocks for the next case.
You've been a great audience. You all know the drill. I could ask you a quick trick question. Who's riding the traditional 211 miles? Now, maybe you didn't know what it was, but 211 is Sturbridge to Bourne and going home to Babson and riding the Century there. It does exist, but tradition starts here in Sturbridge. And whether it's Sturbridge or Wellesley, 70% of all riders ride to P-Town, but honestly, I don't care what route you ride. I think that you register, you're committed, you raise money. You can go around the block and raise $10,000. We all know that. Somewhere virtual is all our futures. So, but there's no reason to leave the PMC, ever. It's that kind of a mob thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for tonight. Hydrate, take care of each other, enjoy the weekend, have a great PMC, and thank you all very much.